Feminism. Feminism is the belief in full social, economic, and political equality for women. Numerous feminist movements and ideologies have developed over years and represented different viewpoints and aims since the 19th century. Charles Fourier, a French philosopher, is credited with having coined the word feminism in 1839. Depending on the historical movement, culture, and country, feminists around the world have different causes and goals. However, the feminist movements are divided into four waves: 1848 to 1920, 1963 to 1980, 1990s from 2012. And through these movements, women have won right to vote, legal and social equality, individuality and diversity, and they fight against violence against women now through Me Too movement. The women's movement of the 1960s, greatly influenced by Virginia Woolf's 1882 to 1941, A Room of One's Own, that was written in 1929, and Simone de Beauvoir, who was born in 1903 and who died in 1986. The Second Sex, that was written in 1949. The feminist literary criticism of today is the direct product of the women's movement of 1960s. The representation of women in literature was felt to be one of the most important forms of socialization and conditioning. In 1970s, Elaine Showalter coined gynocriticism. She defined it as the history, styles, themes, genres, and structures of writing by women, the psychodynamics of female creativity, the trajectory of the individual or collective female career, and the evaluation or laws of female literary tradition. However, there are divisions within feminism on its aims, goals, methods, theories, and inspirations apart from the waves of it. The cultural feminism believes that the contributions of female culture, such as child care, domestic work, etc., have been disregarded and greatly devalued in society as the social systems have evolved with male culture. Liberal feminism stresses the importance of gender norms and gender socialization in the society. Similarly, Marxist feminism too argues for gender equality. Radical feminism focuses on the violence that women suffer and fights against gender related violence. Ecofeminism believes that it is the patriarchal system that causes the oppression of both women and the environment. The men in power are able to take advantage of both women and the environment because they see them passive and helpless. Post colonial feminism that emerged in the third world countries believe that they have to work for gender equality within the logic of their own cultural models. Postmodern feminism believes that there is not one unique absolute definition for gender. So, there is no single basis for women's subordination and no single method of dealing with the issues. Apart from this, Shawalter has also detected in the history of women's writing a feminine phase that covers 1840 to 1880, in which women writers imitated dominant male artistic norms and aesthetic standards. Another feminist phase in between 1880 to 1920, in which radical and often separatist positions are maintained. Finally, a female phase that from 1920s that looked particularly at female writing and female experience. Yet another one issue was also there concerning the existence of a language that is inherently feminine. According to Virginia Woolf, who was born in 1882 and who died in the year 1941, as the language use is gendered, when a woman turns to novel writing, she finds that there is no common sentence ready for her use. She quotes many sentences from Charlotte Bronte, who was born in 1816 and who died in 1855, and George Eliot, who was born in 1819 and who died in the year 1880. But Jane Austen, who was born in 1775 and who died in 1817, rejected it and instead devised a perfectly natural, shapely sentence proper for her own use. However, Elaine Shawalter, in her essay Towards a Feminine Poetics, advocates a new way of reading. She stresses that women should turn to female experience as the source of an autonomous art. The feminist criticism, free from the divided consciousness of daughters and sisters, is to be made a permanent home. Feminist criticism can be divided into two varieties. The first one is concerned with women as a reader of male produced literature. It is a historical grounded enquiry. Its subjects include the images and the stereotypes of women in literature, the omissions and misconceptions about women in criticism, and the exploitation and manipulation of the female audience in particular culture and film. The second type is concerned with women as a writer. This is with women as the producer of literature. Its subjects include the psychodynamics of female creativity, linguistics, and the problems of female language. This gynocriticism is a type of criticism designed by feminists to evaluate works by women as feminist works. It takes into consideration the circumstances in which the work of art is produced, the point of view of the author, and the motivation and attitudes of the characters. One of the problems of feminist critique is that it is male oriented. If we study the stereotypes of women and the limited roles played in literary history, we are trying to learn not women have felt and experienced, but only what men have thought women should be. So, the task of feminist critics is to find a new language, a new way of reading that can integrate women's intelligence and experience, their reason and their suffering. This enterprise should not be confined to women. Women are not only the daughters and sisters of men, but also their teachers, publishers, and many others. So, all women who are also critics, poets, and philosophers should also share it with them. So, as Shawalter says, feminist criticism is not simply a visiting criticism, it is here to stay.